The Monaco GP is unique. It's very tricky to get around the city though, so in this video I'm going to tell you how the 20 drivers plus one team boss managed to make their way to the track, and I'm going to do it from the beautiful surrounds here at the Marriott Boulevard Hotel on the Caspian Sea in Baku. So how did the 20 drivers get to the track at the last race in Monaco? Because it's a lot different to a normal race, because getting around the city is not that easy. So let's start off with Lewis Hamilton, the current world champion. What did he drive to the track? Well, he rode his motorcycle, his MV Agusto LH44 Brutal, which is a beautiful bike. It's one of a limited edition. He rode the thing, and on the back he had his physio, Angela Cullen. Now, I had a look at the size of the seat on that thing, and it's about that size. So there's not much room for Angela to position herself on that, and she's quite high, and she hangs on for dear life, I would suggest. Lewis would come in normally towards the end of the throng of drivers, and I can tell you right now that the ones that get in earliest are typically Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, Charles Leclerc are often in early, and the ones that are often in late, not always, but often, Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, and who else comes to mind? Kimi Raikkonen. As you can see, I've got photos of Lewis coming in one morning with his motorcycle helmet on, and another morning he came in just in a black beanie with Angela holding his helmet. Now I'm thinking he probably took that helmet off just around the corner from us for whatever reason and rode the last 50 or so metres in without the helmet, enabling him to get off quickly. And as you can see here, he stopped to sign this young fellow's autograph. And I think because Marvin was on his own, Lewis was more than happy to sign something. But unfortunately for Marvin, the pen fouled. No autograph. But I can tell you he waited around till the end of the day, which is some effort, and eventually got his autograph as Lewis was leaving the track. What about Checo Perez? Checo came in via boat, and he was accompanied by a Netflix crew who were following him. Now, when they park at that particular jetty, which is situated about a third the way down the paddock, there's no way for them to get in through a swipe gate, so the security guys just open the gate for them and allow them to go into the paddock that way. Max Verstappen, I don't have any pictures, but I know he came in by boat because I saw the team photographer and marketing people along with the Netflix crew head down there, but I was up the other end of the track, so I had to forego that shot for 5 or 6 others down my end. Daniel Ricciardo, another driver who came in by boat, and I'm not sure where this one came from, but it's beautiful and orange in colour, the McLaren colours, and he, Blake Friend and Michael Italiano disembarked the boat and would walk in through the swipe gates, and Daniel even stopped a couple of times to sign autographs, as a number of the drivers did, and I think that's because there were only a handful of people. What the drivers don't like to do is sign maybe 10 autographs and leave 50 people without something, because they tend then to have some disappointment amongst their fans. So if there's only a few, no problem at all for many of them. Lando Norris, did he come in by boat? No. Did he come in on foot? Well, the last part, yes, but he rode a Sim scooter, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, an Orbit 3, which is just a rental scooter that the drivers pick up, and he's not the only one to drive in on one of those. Valtteri Bottas, never saw him. On any of the 4 days did I see Valtteri come in, so that suggests he went the other end and maybe was dropped off by car, walked across the bridge that takes the drivers from the paddock area to the pit lane, and walked in the other swipe gates. Charles Leclerc, well, he rode a bicycle in, one day with his girlfriend, Charlotte Sene, another day with his trainer, Andrea Ferrari, and he rides a Stavello bike. I'm pretty sure it's his uncle that runs this particular company, and I saw their offices down in Fontvieille when I was down there the other day, and they make some quite beautiful electric bikes. Not fully electric, you still have to do a little bit of pedaling to get started. In fact, in Monaco you can rent a monobike, and I did that, and they were fantastic. So a bit of pedaling gets you going, and uphill you have to do a lot more pedaling. But if you're just riding around, you'll find that they're fantastic for just gliding. Now, Carlos Sainz, I think, had the most interesting conveyance of all of the drivers. This was a 3-wheel Piaggio cycle, 2 at the front, 1 at the back. But the morning that I shot him here, he came in with his manager and his trainer on separate bikes, but there was some confusion because where he wanted to go was blocked. So for some minutes he sat around trying to work out how to navigate his bike through, in the end, a very tight walkway and then around a boom gate. But he ended up doing it and rode down to the middle swipe gate and got in. But I do like those bikes, they look pretty flash. If you're travelling by air during COVID, you're probably going to have to produce a negative PCR test, but you need to read the conditions very carefully. Some airlines say 48 hours, some say 72. But 48 hours or 72 hours prior to what? Is it your scheduled departure time or is it the real departure time? What about if you're delayed a day? Does that put your test out of range? And if you have a transfer, is it 48 hours prior to the first flight or the second flight or the third flight if you've got 3? These are important considerations that you need to be fully aware of before you head to the airport. What about Sebastian? Well, I didn't see him ride a bike in, but I have seen pictures of him on Instagram, so I know on at least one day he rode a bicycle. But one day, I think it was the Thursday, I got there early, but he was even earlier than me and was walking down the paddock along with his trainer, Antti Konsas, and his effective manager, Britta Ruska. Lance Stroll, well, he was staying on his father's boat, so you'd expect him to arrive in on a tender, which he did, and then he'd walk the last 100 or so metres to the swipe gates along with his trainer, Martin Poole, who used to be Nico Hülkenberg's trainer. What about Pierre Gasly? Well, he rode a sim scooter as well, this time the Fiddle model. Giving me the 2 fingers here, the nice 2 fingers. And they must have got a good deal on those because Yuki Tsunoda also came in on a scooter, one day with his trainer and then another day completely on his own. And he rolled up at the exact same time as Antonio Giovinazzi. And I'd focused on Antonio first and didn't even see Yuki. He stopped, got off the scooter, went and signed some autographs for a couple of fans and then headed in. And I did note that he's got a new backpacker, Louis Vuitton, which is a step up from the Alpha Tauri backpack that he was wearing back in Bahrain when I did my Backpacks of F1 video. What about Antonio Giovinazzi? Yeah, well, he arrived via scooter as well, as I mentioned just prior. But this is an electric scooter. It's from etrix.ch and it looks pretty snazzy. And being electric is all the rage. And given Antonio had an Alfa Romeo e-trix scooter, you'd imagine Kimi did too, and that is the case. And while Antonio came in solo, Kimi had his trainer Mark Arnold on the back of his. That leaves us with 6 drivers left. It'll be 5 after I talk to you about Fernando Alonso. He came in on an Aprilia RS660, and so did his companion. Esteban Ocon came in by foot past me, but I'm not sure what happened prior. May have come via boat, may have come by a car. I think more likely the boat scenario though, and that's probably all I've got for you there. Do you know what NFTs are? Non-fungible tokens. Well, I've converted a number of my best images into NFTs and are selling them via auction on OpenSea. Now, if you don't know what an NFT is, the simplest way to explain it is it's a bit like you being able to buy the original version of, say, the Mona Lisa. You don't own the copyright in it, but you own the original. In NFT format, it allows you to sell it later, hopefully at a profit, and you become an investor in my images. So head to OpenSea and place a bid on the photo that you like most and know that you'll end up being the original owner of the NFT and able to trade it into the future. The 2 Williams drivers did not see George Russell on any of the 4 days, which suggested he went down to the other end and probably walked across the bridge, which Nicholas Latifi did, and I know he was dropped off by a car, so I'm going to suggest that George also did the same thing. That leaves us 2 drivers. Nikita Mazepin, I saw him down my end, which suggests he came in via boat. He certainly didn't come in via scooter. And our final driver is Mick Schumacher. Didn't see him either, so I'm gathering he went the other end and walked over the bridge. Probably dropped off by car. Oh, and I'll quickly throw in Toto Wolff. Came in on this tender, looking very flash, even parked it up himself, and then walked up the jetty where he had a Mercedes crew member waiting with a scooter, one for him and one for his wife on another day that Susie joined in. And then they scooted into the track, bypassing the swipe gates. So that's a wrap up of how the 20 F1 drivers got to the Monaco track and one team boss. A quick word about my next video. I'm going to be dealing with the ins and out of F1 photography. For instance, how I shoot, what gear I take, and importantly, my workflow. Plus, you might remember that I offered all of my members here on YouTube the opportunity to pick up 2 of my images of cars coming out of the tunnel that I shot last Thursday. And I'm giving away the raw images. Now, I'm not sure that anyone's ever done that, and it enables you, if you're photographically minded, to go in and edit the raw image. And on that next video, I'll be presenting some of the versions that I've got back from people who took the raw file and had a crack at editing it. I think you'll find that interesting. In the meantime, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so, click the bell button and become a member so you can get access, because I want to do those raw images on a regular basis. You'll find my digital photos available at prostarpics.com, and I can tell you we've had a big bump up in the last week or so, particularly of those photos of Lando and Daniel coming out of the tunnel in that Gulf oil version of the McLaren. My F1 driver books, there's 23 of them, all featuring new images from this year. You can get them at kimillman.com, and for my best pictures live from the track, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching from the Marriott Boulevard, and stay passionate. Bloody hell, I've been doing 2 minutes of recording there thinking that the thing was on and I hadn't pressed the button.